okay, what actually would happen in a culture if these are the ideals? One of my favorite things to do is to read stories or to write stories that are from a non-Western point of view. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the time there are cultural differences that we're not even aware of, the things that get stuck into our minds because that's just the way life is. We've never done anything different and we've never seen anything different. But there's such a diversity of culture all around the world that is such rich story opportunities there. For example, I have a friend from Ghana, and we were having a conversation about how Americans feel about germs. In Ghana, if somebody sneezed on my friend's face or coughed in my friend's face, he'd just wipe it off and walk on. No big deal. In America, if somebody were to sneeze or to cough in our direction, we will scrub the skin off our faces and gargle with Listerine. It's a huge cultural difference between the way germs are perceived and responded to. In America, we shake hands generally when we meet somebody or are making a professional contact. There are certain countries where you better not shake with your left hand. That's the hand they use to wipe with, and it would be very rude to use it in a business or friendly transaction. In America, if you have 20 seats in a waiting room and there are only 10 people, they will literally space themselves out so that there is a seat in between each of them. And if the waiting room is full and you only have this one seat that's sandwiched in between two other people, you kind of sit there and you're like, you stay there and I'll stay here and we'll both be happy. We love our big bubbles of space. Whereas in other countries, they'll just all pile in together, practically sitting on top of each other, like shoulder to shoulder, no problem. They're totally used to being in close quarters with everybody else. This bubble of space thing isn't culturally something that they even care about. I know we've seen the movies where there are some cultures where you have to burp after a meal in order to show that you enjoyed the meal. Whereas in America, burping is incredibly rude, and you don't do that at the table, and if you do, by accident, you say, "Excuse me." I could go on and on. There's a ton of different things that culturally we're so used to, but that in other cultures, either around the world currently or historically in the past, there's such an array of different things that are considered appropriate, not appropriate, normal, not normal. And when we work these things into our stories and reflect them in books, it just makes the culture that much more interesting and rich, and it broadens the story's world so that it's not just simply a reflection of our own culture in a fantasy culture, but it's actually a reflection of, okay, what actually would happen in a culture if these are the ideals, these are the social mores, these are the fears. So right now I'm working on a science fantasy in which an entire culture has cursed hands, and they use gloves to hide the curse on their hands. And it was striking to me that there are so many things that we do with our hands. You know, we shake hands, we hold hands with people that we are close to, we wave our hands. All these things either draw attention to our hands or they put other people in contact with our hands. And all of those are things that in my society with cursed hands, they would probably not want to do. They don't want to draw attention to their hands. They don't want to have contact with other people's hands if they don't have to. Or if they do, it's a very intimate gesture of I really trust you. So this is something I'm thinking about just from the standpoint of world building in my own story. So I'm curious, as a reader, have you encountered any books where there's a really fascinating world-building aspect that pulls you outside of your own culture and that puts you inside a new one and that makes the world that much richer for you? I'd love to hear about it. Drop me a note in the comments below and let's keep the conversation going.